what's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, very good. Thank you, man. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, again. Thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview.
Dude, absolutely. Thank you for requesting me. It's great to be here.
Oh, definitely. Well, it's great to be able to talk to you and talk about a great album that just came out yesterday. I mean, that's got to be a great feeling for you right now to see this new album getting the praise and actually having the fan base be able to check out this album now.
Dude, honestly it feels unreal because it's crazy because we just came off of a 5 week tour, and during the last couple of days of the tour we actually realized that it's been 1 year since we started recording the record. And it just feels like, obviously we've been listening to it just like a million times because we love the record, but it feels crazy and unreal that now finally it's out there for everyone to hear. And yeah, I mean, you're definitely right. The comments, the feedback, everything has been just mind blowing because obviously, when you write a record, you love it. You love every single song and you're so proud of it. But it always amazes you to see that it really connects with other people. And yeah, I mean, it's just been mind blowing to see that people have really taken this record in so well.
Yeah, and I'm so happy to see that too because I really love the fact that the band has evolved and has shown so much more diversity the more that you go along. And with this album, like you hear so many different sides and personalities that's going on musically within the band. And when you really pay attention to the lyrics, there's some really hard-hitting lyrics and personal matters that feels like it's going along with that, which you can interpret individuality all the way through what's going on in society today. And it's great to see you being able to tackle so many different things going on with this album thematically and musically.
Thank you so much, man. And I feel like it's just one of those things that myself and everyone in the band basically, we've been doing this for about 10 years kind of professionally, if that's how we put it. And we've been loving music since we've been kids. So I feel like it's been one of those things that we've kind of practiced being able to we practiced kind of being able to let out all of our emotions musically for our whole life. So I feel like now when I was truly in a place in my life where I couldn't see any light anymore, where I just felt like I can't do anything else but make a record and that's it. I feel like I've been kind of practicing it for my whole life, and now finally when I was in a place where that was it for me, I feel like I was more ready than I ever could have been. And I mean, honestly, like I've said in so many interviews and in all of the press, that this record literally saved my life because without this I wouldn't have had anything else left. So I feel like it's because music is just one of those larger than life things. I feel like this just proves it. This goes to show that music can actually literally save a life.
And as someone who does deal with a lot of mental health issues myself, I can definitely hear that. Like, um, maybe it was intentional. Maybe I'm just taking a little bit more out of it than what's there. But it's just like when I listen to these songs, it's like I hear all of these different kinds of emotions that's going through. I mean, there's so many different feelings that you can have as an individual, and there's a lot of dark things that can happen throughout. But the fact that you can have that while still being able to show off all these different sides musically of what's going on, whether you're getting super heavy, whether you're getting into the breakdowns, whether you're writing something so catchy and something that is just like meant for mainstream radio and everything in between. Like you're showing off that despite all the darkness that's there, that there is so many different sides to you.
Dude, absolutely. And because like for me, pretty much the key elements of this record also is the fact that even though I'm talking about my own personal story with the lyrical side, I hope that everyone kind of gets the positive note that the record kind of ends in, which is that I'm not just telling people that, if you lose hope, that's it. There's nothing else but rock bottom. But rather what we're trying to get through to people is the fact that even though every single person on planet Earth will one day or another find themselves in these dark places, there's always that light in the end of the tunnel. It's always a possibility that you can dig yourself out of these places. And I feel like that's the main thing. And that's why it kind of didn't hurt the musical side either, because in the end of the day, it's four guys who love playing music, four guys who love creating music and creating art. So I mean, it kind of for me, like the everything that I was going through during that period of time, it kind of blurred my vision in the fact that I didn't overthink anything, and none of us overthought anything. It was just literally us writing stuff that we've kind of that life has brought to us. And because all of our songs, it's in the end of the day, it has so many elements from stuff we love to listen to. It's a lot of stuff that we just observe in the world, and everything like that. So I think that's actually, in the end of the day, that's the magic that Lost Society has, that we literally don't overthink anything. It's just us writing stuff, and it just is beautiful to see that it connects so well with all kinds of people.
Oh, absolutely. And I gotta imagine that works so well, especially musically, when you're able to play shows with other bands, because whether you're playing with heavier bands, whether you're playing with lighter bands, more mainstream bands, more underground bands, you have music for all of that to be able to adapt to those situations while still being able to show a different side of yourself at the same time and show that you are more than just what that live show is, because there's so many different layers going on.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And I think that's the main reason for that, is also because I feel like from the beginning of the band, we've kind of made it clear to each other that we all love to listen to a lot of different kinds of stuff. So it's like, for us, even though the first couple of records, obviously they were they're very much thrash influence, because that's what we listened to. A lot of it was what we listened to. But throughout the years, we kind of found out that it's possible to bring in those other things that we love to listen to also, because, I mean, obviously we were brought up with the Dire Straits and Iron Maidens and Kisses and stuff like that. But from there, it went on to the Anthraxes and Slayers. From there on, it went to it can be Nine Inch Nails, it can be Lady Gaga, it can be anything in between. And I feel like it's one of our strengths that we've always been kind of the metal band that will always bring in all kinds of stuff that we love to. And it's definitely something that I feel like maybe some people just don't, they feel like it's a risk that they don't want to take. But for me, it's one of those things that, I started writing music. And the first record that we released was when I was 17 years old. And I always knew that I'm not going to base my whole life on something that I did when I was very young. And I feel like I want to look back at our career, when I'm older, and kind of feel like, oh, it's cool that we did that in that era, and it's cool that we did that in that era. And all of these things kind of prove the point that you just said, that it doesn't matter really who we tour with. We're always going to have a set that kind of, it speaks to a lot of different people, because I feel like there aren't just people, or I mean, people nowadays, I don't think anyone is just kind of so genre oriented that they only listen to one thing all the time. I feel like people are influenced by so many different things, that's why we have so much to offer, because we kind of, we feel the same way with our music.
Oh, and it's so great to hear that too. I mean, especially when, like you mentioned yourself, it's just like being known for doing more thrash material when you started with, and then being able to break out and be able to show more layers and diversity in the sound. I mean, for someone like myself and someone else that like enjoys different styles of music, I appreciate hearing that rather than just like one style for a full album or a full set of live music. Because like, if you're like touring with like 4 or 5 other thrash metal bands, you're going to get sick of hearing thrash all that night. If you enjoy other styles of music, you want to be able to hear different things that are going on. So the fact that you can incorporate some great pop melodies, that you can incorporate some heavy breakdowns, that you can really get into some real emotion from a real place with your lyrics, especially on this album, which I appreciate. It's just like you're able to hit people in so many different ways that to really make you appreciate the band more.
Well, thank you so much. And I feel the same way. And I mean, the thing is that I feel like the key to all of that is also the fact that it's all very genuine, and it comes from us. It comes 100% from us, because I feel like it would be very easy for a load of bands nowadays, especially around the world. They could be like, oh, okay, so now there's a resurgence in new metal, so maybe we're going to do something like that. Or now there's a resurgence in hard rock, so maybe we're going to do that, or with death metal, or with thrash metal, you name it. But I feel like for us, because obviously we've got so many people who are like, oh, okay, so now you're doing that just because the label told you to do that, or now you're doing that because someone else told you. It seems so difficult for people to understand that we just genuinely want to do all kinds of stuff. It's like, I understand that where people are coming from with the fact that I feel like with thrash metal fans, there are a lot of the kind of purist people who are like, oh, if you do this, you're not allowed to do that. But I feel like the point where someone can actually call me a sellout and I'll be like, yeah, it's true, is the point where I write a thrash record just because there's a couple of fans who expect us to do that. And I feel like I find that so fucking funny. But I mean, that's just the way the world goes. And I mean, I don't think there's ever going to be a point in time where I'm going to write a song because I expect, or because someone expects us to write something like that. It's always going to be, the key element is that we have to love what we do. If we don't love what we do, then why would we expect anyone else to love it?
Exactly. And the more that I listen to the album, the more that I do hear the authenticity that really is going behind it, because there is so many layers that's going on between it. I mean, obviously, and not just the four of you, but obviously you got a lot of background elements that's going on to help diversify the music. And like you've mentioned before, just like the lyrics and how hard hitting they can be. And there's a lot of dark elements on the moment, but like you mentioned before, like towards the end of the album, you start to see more of the light, which it does show, especially when people are going through those dark moments, that you do need to see some light along with it. But there's also the fact that when you do talk about those dark moments, that it really helps people out as well, because a lot of people, when they're going through so many different emotions through themselves, they want to feel like they're not alone. And when they can hear a band like Lost Society being able to talk about feelings that they may be having themselves, they do feel less alone, and they feel that authenticity of what their emotions are feeling like, because you're going through them yourself.
Dude, 100%. And I feel like it's not only like a privilege that I have, or that we all have, but obviously as I've written the lyrics, I feel like it's almost like it's my duty to 100% openly write about these things, because I feel like in a world that we live in still today, unfortunately, where mental health is such a taboo, even though it's kind of getting better all the time, but it is still something which especially the older generation just doesn't kind of fully accept or embrace, which is obviously because, for them, if you have a broken arm, you can see that your arm is broken. If you have a broken leg, you can see your leg is broken. But when you have something going on inside of your head, it's very difficult for some people to kind of fully understand it. And in that way, when I have a certain amount of followers on social media, or when I have followers when we're playing a show, there's the crowd there. I feel like it's my responsibility to talk about these things, because I feel like if there's no people who openly talk about shit that they're going through, which a lot of other people are also going through, we're never going to get to a point where people fully embrace and understand that ththese issues are there. It's kind of one of those things, like, a lot of people still think that if you don't talk about something, it doesn't exist, but that's not the truth. And as you have your terrible examples with your Linkin Parks or your Chris Cornells and stuff like that. It's like they were talking about this stuff, but no one really took it seriously. And I feel like I want to be one of those people who pushes that stuff onwards, and I truly tell people that it's 100% okay that you'll feel these feelings, but you also have to kind of work towards getting help, because there is that help. I got that help, and that's why I'm still here. And yeah, I mean, that's just the thing. If people don't talk about important things that really make a difference, then we're never going to achieve anything.
So to go a little deeper in that, because I am someone that still is struggling myself. I've been struggling since I was 12 years old. So I've been dealing with it for 22 years now, of dealing with mental health issues, suicidal tendencies, depression, anxiety, all these different things. And of course, everyone goes through these things differently, even if they have the same symptoms and going through the same things. When you started noticing that things were getting darker and darker, like, what was that moment for you where you started to realize that there could be a light at the end of the tunnel? Because you've mentioned how this album did save your life. Like, how did that come about?
Well, I mean, honestly, the whole kind of timeline, so to speak, was it was about like it was early 2021 where I kind of decided that, okay, I'm gonna write this record, and it's going to be the last record that I write. There's a song that ends the record called "Suffocating," which was 100% supposed to be the last song that I'll ever write in my life. And I just realized that somewhere along the line of us recording the album, where we were all there, we were at the studio, we were writing these songs, and it kind of started getting concrete that these songs exist and that there's actually a message of hope within these songs, even though I always interpreted them as being just absolutely hopelessness. And at somewhere along the line, I found myself kind of pushing that inevitable move. It was like I was just pushing it onwards. Then I was like, okay, well, we're finishing this record. Then, okay, well, I might as well do a couple of interviews. Okay, I might as well wait until the record's out. I might as well. And you kind of find yourself feeling that, oh, okay, so it's not over for me. Maybe there is a future still that I just didn't realize earlier. And at some point then I realized that, okay, you know what, I think there might be that little bit of strength inside of me to pick up that phone and finally call myself help and get the help that I need. And here I am now, 9 months later. I've been seeing a therapist for 9 months every single week. And I'm never going to be able to say that I'm fully okay, because it doesn't work that way. But I find myself every single day making decisions that further my existence and further me being here and wanting to be here, most importantly. And I feel like, yeah, it was just somewhere along the lines of actually getting these songs and getting these ideas onto tape where I realized that, you know what, maybe I have more to offer than I kind of accepted earlier.
And it's so great to hear you say that too, because there are so many people that are afraid to take that next step because there is so much fear that goes on, or sometimes it's just the hopelessness that goes on as well too, where they feel like things can't get better. But when you do hit that moment where you feel like you have nothing else to lose, why not try therapy? Why not go see a doctor? Why not try medication or trying a career change or moving to a new location? I mean, it's going to be different for everybody. But when you're able to find some kind of outlet where you can start to find the tools that you need to be able to improve your life and not just feel like you're living in this dark shadow for all of your life, and you can start to see the light start to happen and you start to see more colors start to happen in life, you start to appreciate it so much more when you start to have those tools. And like you said, it's never going to be perfect. You're never going to be fixed. You're never going to be okay, because you're going to have moments where you're going to fall down again and you're going to start to have those dark feelings again. But when you can learn to be able to pick yourself back up or find the right people or the right tools to be able to help lift you back up again, it gives you that motivation to be able to keep going. And the fact that an album like this, where you say that Suffocate was going to be the last song you ever write, it was going to be the last thing that was ever going to be a part of your legacy, and you're able to look back on that now and see that there is new life, not only to the band, but to yourself, is such a great thing to be able to hear.
Absolutely. And that's like, I feel like I owe music so much, honestly, because like, like, in the end of the day, I'm just a dude from the Nordics who loves to play music and loves to perform and stuff like that. And literally, I feel so blessed in the situation that I am right now, not only because I'm still here, but the fact that even now, with the record being out for one day, but obviously the singles that came out already about 6 months ago, I've got so many messages from so many people all around the world who have been saying that they've been going through similar things, and the music that we've produced has been able to give them a new lease on life, which is just mind blowing. And I feel like even now, in the moments, which obviously, I still have them, I constantly still have those moments where I'm like, oh, okay, maybe that is still a good option or whatever. But when you get a message like that from one person where they've literally said that you've saved their life, even you can't feel 100% like you're a shitty person. It's like, I know that I've done dumb shit in my life, but if one person can tell me that I've been able to save their life through something that I've created, I know that I'm not fully evil, and that will give me, at least, that gives me hope, and that gives me strength to carry on.
Absolutely. And the fact that you can see that as well too, because, some people are never able to see that. And unfortunately, even when you do have like success, in some people's eyes, success and everything that you could ever want, like you mentioned, like Chester Bennington, like Chris Cornell, like these people who feel like they're larger in life and they have everything in the world, but we see those layers that we never actually get to see because it's so dark and personal to them, and we only see the final results. Sometimes even with their messages, it might not hit them that the fans love them and appreciate what they do as much as they could. But the fact that you're seeing it, you're able to see it in yourself, you're getting uh messages online, and I imagine at shows, and the reaction to being able to play the new songs live, where you are able to talk about these moments, and you're able to see that appreciation from everybody, and knowing that you are bringing some good into the world. And like you said, it only takes one person for you to realize that you can bring some good into life. And when you are able to do that, it can make your life feel so much more rewarding, and you just want to be able to keep providing that as well too. And that's what's got me excited for the future of the band and your songwriting, because if you're feeling this now and you're able to keep seeing the light, the new material, where you're going to be more continuing to be honest and open, and all the different emotions that come from it, not just being dark, but being able to show different emotions and different styles of music and different lyrical themes. You're going to be able to show so much more that people are able to relate to. Even if they're dealing with the same dark stuff as you, they'll be able to relate in other things that you're able to talk about in the future with future releases.
Dude, absolutely. And I'm really excited about the fact that I feel like now with the release of this record, it's in some way, it's, or in many ways actually, it's kind of like the final goodbye to that era and that phase, or I wouldn't say phase, but that era of my life, that truly devastating one. Because I'm not going to say phase, because it still is something that is ongoing, like you said yourself, and like we discussed, that it's not something that will fully be out, but that certain particular era is kind of, it's dealt with, and I can say goodbye to it now by the release of this record. But it's also, yeah, as you said, I mean, I'm going to be excited about everything that we do in the future also, because it unlocked a lot of things in me just as a writer also, which is brilliant, because it's like you have to find that sweet spot where you can talk about your feelings, but you can also kind of make it universal, because it's like a musician always wants to tell their own story, and a musician always will be able to tell their own story, but it has to be something also that you kind of, you say it in a way that everyone will understand the universal nature of what your message is. And I hope that's something that we'll always be able to do. And it's also something that I'm looking forward to what we're going to do next, because I have no idea what the next thing is that I want to say, but I know that it will be something that will come from the heart, because that's all I can do, and that's all I can offer. It's what I have inside of me, and I feel like that's always the most genuine thing that a person can hear, and that's the only kind of, because I'm the only person I can be. I'm the, what I have inside of me is the only thing I can genuinely talk about. So that's what people can always expect from us.
Oh, absolutely. And, thinking about that as well too. I mean, obviously with this era of your chapter of your life right now, I mean, the fact that before everyone got to hear the full album, outside of people like me who have been enjoying the album for about a month or so, being able to really deep dive into it, enjoy everything that's going on, the closest they got is being able to hear this in a live setting. The fact that you started incorporating new songs into the set list, and the fact that live shows got taken away from us for a while, and the fact that you're able to come back and sing some of these aggressive songs and play some of these aggressive songs, and just being able to scream your heart out and talk about these, that had to be such a great cathartic feeling too, because it's one thing to be able to write and record these, but to be able to sing them out loud and just be able to feel that presence of a live crowd hearing the emotions that you're going through had to be a great feeling.
100%, 100%, because it's like a lot of people have also asked me lately, especially, it's like, do you feel kind of weird going back to those feelings when you perform these songs? But to me, it's always been about the fact that when we bring these songs to life in a live setting, it's not me going back to those emotions. It's me kind of triumphantly being on top of those feelings and saying that I got over this. I won these fucking feelings. And there's something, so yeah, it's absolutely 100% cathartic, and it's something that it kind of, because it brings in the crowd also. And you can have 500 people in front of you at a show, and all of those people will have their own story to one lyric that you've written. And I think there's something so beautiful about that we're all singing the same lyrics, but everyone has a different story to them. There's something really cool about that. And it brings the song to a whole different life also in that situation.
Oh, for sure. And of course, the bigger overlying feeling of that, I mean, that had to be a great feeling of, like the fact that live shows and touring was taken away from us, and just being able to get back on the stage for the first time, that had to be a great feeling as well, too. I mean, with it being taken away, but now being able to show off all this great new material, being able to go on tour for well over a month, being able to promote what would be the album that just came out yesterday, and just like knowing that you're back, you're stronger than ever, both as a band and as yourself, and just being able to show the crowd that you can overcome the adversities of life's trials and tribulations, and just have a great time for one night for the people in the crowd, and for yourself being able to visit all of these places again and being able to spread that message.
100%, man, 100%. And ever since, ever since the first show that we were back after all of the fucking weirdness in the world, you could see immediately, and you can still see to this day, that everyone in the crowd, and obviously on stage also, it feels like everyone appreciates the situation more than they ever have before, because no one in the world ever thought that live music would be touched like that, you could lose live music. But now we saw that it's as fragile as everything else in life. So I feel like now that it's that live music is back, and people are able to just enjoy life together or alone or whatever, it just feels like everyone loves the situation more. And these shows that we played this year have been just probably the best that we've ever done. And yeah, especially now when we're getting these new songs on tour, it's going to be something really special for sure.
Oh, for sure. So thinking about that as well too, I mean, obviously with the album being released yesterday and being a part of such a great label like Nuclear Blast, um, and of course with the live shows being able to come back, like what's the plan going forward now? I mean, obviously you want to be able to promote the album, but what's going to be going along with that?
100%. I mean, well, for this year, we're going to be starting a massive finish tour next week, which is going to be about 1.5 months of weekend shows every week. Obviously, I'm going to have a lot of press here and there. I'm going to be writing a lot of new songs also, of course, because that's just what I love to do. And next year it's just going to be touring all year long. It's like I don't even know all to what extent it's going to be, but what we told our management and our agencies and everyone is just keep us on the road as much as you can, because we've seen the insides of our houses enough.
Oh, I love that. And I love the fact that you want to be able to go out there, play these songs live, being able to visit places that were taken away, and hopefully hitting new places and new territories along with that too, with the world starting to open back up, and hopefully with 2023, 2024, being able to just show yourself in this new light, being able to overcome such dark adversity, and just being able to play some kick-ass music. And the fact that you are feeling rejuvenated enough and inspired enough to be working on new material again, like I'm excited to see what's going to be coming of that. I mean, whether you got like one riff right now or a whole album or whatever is going to happen before the release, I love the fact that you still have that in your mind, that you want to go out and tour, and above all just being able to fight the demons that are inside so many of us. I'm very proud to say, very proud of you for being able to fight those demons and just keep fighting forward. And above all, with that, I thank you so much for being able to talk to me about all of this. I love the fact that we were able to talk about the new album available now through Nuclear Blast, and all of the touring commitments that are going to be coming up very soon and in the future. But I love the fact that we were able to talk about mental health, as it's something that is very near and dear to me. And I love the fact that you've been so honest and open about that, because like you've mentioned,
Thank
more
you.
people need to be honest and open about that, so less people don't have to go to the darkest extremities and examples of what to do to be able to get by, and they can just keep fighting forward like you have, like I have, and so many others have. So I thank you so much for that.
Definitely, man. Thank you so much, and all the best to you, my friend.